Peace and love, y'all. It's your brother A.D.V.I.S. And we are here with another episode of What's the Word Wednesday, Season 2, Episode 27. So, as we usually do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw in the topics for today, as well as I'm going to put up, of course, our background for the show as well. So, as y'all come in, let me know how you doing, how you feeling, and what's the word. Yo, peace and love to the smoothest brother in the land. Sabu Smooth in the building, y'all. What's the word? Hope all is well, brother, and much more to you. As well as anybody else in here too, please, if y'all can let me know if I'm sounding good, everything's all right, up to par, please let me know. And shout out to those who will be watching this either now or later on Instagram or YouTube. If it's on YouTube, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for your boy, because we're going to keep putting out more and more of these videos. So if you're willing to see this, go subscribe to the YouTube at A.D.V.I.S Speaks. We up there trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so please join in and give us that attention as well as support. But with that, y'all, yo, another legend in the building, y'all. When it comes to the ones and twos, shouts out to DJ Norm Rockwell in the building. Peace and one love, brother. What's the word? Good to see you in here. Yes. So, as we got people coming in, y'all, we're going to be waiting. So, for today's episode, y'all, we're going to be getting into the topics of current events. So I'm going to give y'all some news updates, read some articles, and let you know what's going on, at least in the U.S. and around everywhere. As well as after that, we're going to be talking about the topic of distant versus close and getting more into that. And lastly, we're going to get into the topic in question: why human connection is a double-edged sword. Think about that. But again, shouts out to everyone that is in here right now. Again, shouts out to DJ Norm Rockwell. Y'all need to go check him out, please. Either Instagram, YouTube. He streams on Twitch as well. Go follow them on Twitch. Lazy Sundays is dope. And again, also shouts out to the brother Sabu Smooth. Please go and follow him as well too. He puts out the bangers. If you love that island feel, you love a mean guitar, love the peace and the vibes, please go check out the brother. Me and him together makes the group The Booth. So shouts out to The Booth as well. Peace and love, fam. Good to see you in here. Superb is in the building, aka Big Sue, y'all. Again, much love to you. I hope all is well with you, fam. And what's the word? Yes. And we getting it in, y'all. Yeah, we getting it in. Shoot, anytime, brother. Like, man, I appreciate you. It was a dope experience getting to meet you at the show a while back. So, always got to shout out when anybody comes through. Shout out. Got the brother Marlon in the building too. Man, peace and love to you, brother. Man, what's the word? But with that, y'all, let's go ahead and let's do this. Let's get into the show song. And then today, we're going to get right into these current events and continue on. So if you're with your boy, put a what's the word in the comment section. If you with your boy, please put a what's the word in the comment section. But here we go. See, okay, yes. Alright, yes. Said the host with the most A.D.V. on screen. So I gotta do my thing, but you know you gotta think. So, what's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word, y'all? What's the word? We tell them like, what's the word? What's the word? What you heard? We gotta know, yeah, what's the word? Once again, y'all, It's your brother A.D.V.I.S, and we are here with another episode of What's the Word Wednesday, Season 2, Episode 27. Now, for today's episode, y'all, it's going to be, again, an interesting one with the 3 topics that we have, talking about current events, distance versus close, and why human connection is a double-edged sword. So when we get into those, we will. But shouts out to everyone that is here, and shouts out to those who will be seeing this now or later on Instagram and YouTube. I did the whole spiel, but we'll check it at the end as well. But with that, y'all, thank y'all for what's the words in there. Now let's get into these topics for tonight. So, for tonight, of course, I'm going to bring you some updates on the pandemic, because that is basically the most biggest thing in the news still. I know we get tired of hearing it, but you got to stay clued in to what's going on. So I'm going to give y'all some updates on more health-wise things when it comes to the pandemic and the shots. And then we're going to touch on some other current events that's happened with people and figures. And lastly, we're also going to be talking about some more things happening with Mother Nature. So, with that, y'all, first thing I'm going to end up doing actually is I'm going to show y'all a video of a news report, and so I can give people more information on everything. So today, the first video and article we're going to look at comes from MSNBC, and the article reads, "Your chances of getting COVID after vaccination, 1 in 5,000 or less." So, with that, y'all, let me go ahead. I'm going to take us off right here real quick, and I'm going to flip us this way. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear, because I have to turn it up, because usually these things is not loud enough. And we're going to talk about that today. Again, from MSNBC, and your chances of getting COVID after vaccination, 1 in 5,000 or less. So let's listen in.
There aren't even major developments on COVID tonight, including some good news in a moment. But we begin with this risk facing America, which now averages over 150,000 COVID cases a day. Does that sound worse than usual? Well, that's because it is. In fact, we are 4 times the COVID caseload now as compared to this time last year before a vaccine even came out. And more kids are testing positive than ever before in America. And about 1,500 adults are dying of COVID every day. Now, faced with a crisis, there are diverging responses from governors right now. Kentucky is led by a moderate Democrat who's touting safety measures while stressing this danger of the surging COVID. A contrast to Florida, led by an arch conservative who notes that vaccines prevent illness and death, but is telling constituents it doesn't matter to him or anyone else if they get vaccinated.
We have tents set up to triage people outside of them. We've called in FEMA strike teams, the National Guard. We have more people in the hospital because of COVID than ever before.
The vaccines have helped people ward off severe illness. It's about your health and whether you want that protection or not. It really doesn't impact me or anyone else.
Republican Governor DeSantis says vaccination doesn't impact anyone else. False. It's way more contagious among the unvaccinated. Now, you can decide your own health decisions, but you can't get the facts from people who don't have them. As Drake explains on his new album this week, how could anybody tell you the truth when they're misinformed?
Why?
And the misinformed don't have any truth to tell. America's COVID challenge is caught between the vaccinated who want to celebrate and the unvaccinated facing a larger COVID surge than ever before. Or if you speak OVO like Drake, you might say,
if you speak OVO
it's
like
bigger
Drake
now than before.
Really?
COVID. And this is the part where all my partners know what we in it for.
Really?
This is the part where we gonna throw us a party after the war.
Really?
Because vaccinated America is ready to party. New studies show vaccines working even better than originally thought. That's against COVID and the Delta variant. The odds of getting COVID after vaccination are actually now as low as 1 in 5,000 and even as low as 1 in 10,000 in places where more people got vaccinated, like LA and Chicago, according to New York Times reporting. So numerically, scientifically, the issue is the unvaccinated. These are the people most likely to get hospitalized or even face death. And this is at a time when we're learning the vaccines work even better, even against Delta, than we thought.
So y'all heard that. Now, I saw y'all's up in here. Shouts out to the brother 2 at the Temple in the building as well, y'all. Another dope MC out there repping Melbourne. Go check him out. But yes, y'all. So, yes, look at Sue. You already know. When I first watched the video, I'm gonna give y'all my thoughts of this taking the video and the information. But before I do, always again, whenever you were watching the news, wherever you're watching or listening to entertainment and whatever it is, listen carefully, listen closely. It's not only just entertainment. There's more behind it as well too. So please listen with open ears and just don't let things slide by. So from this news article and from the video, basically it's saying that your chances become lower and lower once you get the vaccine. But again, for those who don't know, even if you do get it or you don't get it, there is still a chance for you to transmit it, as well as there is a chance for you to still get it. But when a person who is vaccinated gets COVID again, that is called a breakthrough case, or a breakthrough infection, whatever it may end up calling it. I don't have the full terms, but take that into consideration. Now, again, in this particular news report, the main crux of it is letting you know is please go get vaccinated, and the people that are the issue are the ones who are not vaccinated, because now even kids are starting to experience high numbers of getting it. But where I have a really bad taste in my mouth for what they do, and if you watch very closely and you listen, is the continued pandering to specific groups of people through using comment or the culture right now. I can't think of it right now, like what we end up calling it, social culture, whatever right now. So, yes. Did you hear? He said specifically, if you speak Drake. What do you mean by if you speak Drake? You're trying to throw this in along on top of giving out news reports. You're taking it somewhat lightly doing this, while at the same time acting like you really, it's, again, very contradicting. But overall from the news report, you literally get a vaccine, your chances are lower, 1 in 5,000, sometimes it said even 1 in 10,000, to end up getting COVID at all, or again. That's the real takeaways from it. And as well as if you're not vaccinated, vaccinated. But yeah, doing a terrible job. Why? I know why, but once again, bad taste in my mouth from doing all of that stuff. All right, on to the next article, y'all. If y'all have anything else, I appreciate y'all. Keep throwing them in the comments. If y'all have any news reports, please throw them in the comments, because it is greatly appreciated. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your continued, contributions. Right. Let's get back into this, y'all. Now, the next article that I got comes from Yahoo Finance. And the title of this reads, if I can get this thing, Delta variant extraordinarily dangerous for unvaccinated and a problem for vaccinated. This is from a doctor. So, every time I read an article, 2 paragraphs and we're out. But again, this comes from Yahoo Finance. If you want to look it up, Delta variant extraordinarily dangerous for unvaccinated and a problem for vaccinated. Doctor. All right, article reads, Brigham and Women's Hospital emergency medicine physician Dr. Jeremy Faust joins the Yahoo Finance live panel to discuss the latest coronavirus developments. And we have it here. A new COVID milestone in the United States. 75% of adults here in the U.S. have at least had one of their vaccination doses. So we're going to hear President Biden talk about this. He's expected to tomorrow. We'll also have the WHO urging nations like ours to not proceed with booster shots, which I'll talk about that later. We're going to talk about all of this with Jeremy Faust. He is emergency medical physician at Brigham and Women's Hospital, and it's good to have you here, doctor. So this is the script that they're doing, talking about what's going on. But basically, what this article is going to end up talking about at the same time is exactly what was previously just talked about. He's going to come through and talk about how now, I think that yesterday, as there's 1 in 5, or there is a 1 in 5,000 chance for a breakout case. So that breakout case means when someone who's vaccinated ends up getting COVID. They call that a breakout case. So that we're all getting very worked up. If you're vaccinated about breakout cases, and then when you get to say it's really 1 in 10,000, if that's the reality, are we all overreacting to what's happening with this different variant that sent so many people to the hospital? Like I said, this is a script that they're reading that was basically, it was from a live, but ultimately this doctor's coming in talking about how literally, again, as has been reiterated, Delta hits more unvaccinated people even harder than those who are vaccinated, because what the vaccine is supposed to do is supposed to lower the severity of symptoms that you have, as well as it lowers your chances of being sent to the hospital, dying, and etc. It's not to prevent you from catching it. It gives you lesser chances of catching it, as well as it is not used to prevent you from transmitting it. You can also still do that. But that's this article as well. Again, these are just more updates on top of updates when it comes to this whole situation. But yes, let's see. I gotta look at y'all comments. Yes. He said, I feel like he just want to say N-word pandering with that Drake. Yeah, yep, bro. If you speak OVO, exactly. Terrible taste, man. His stale. Yep. You know what I want to say, but I ain't gonna say it. We already know. Setup on the news is terrible, bro. News trying to sway folks against each other using pop culture. There it is. It's pop culture as a tool. Always, brother. Division. The biggest tool to be using. You can divide and put people on certain sides, pros, cons, good, bad, evil, all this other stuff, and you have those sides fighting each other. It creates distractions, and it's easier to defeat a distracted folk or a distracted society versus one that's aware, open, and ready to go. So it's a tactic, yes. Right. Next article comes from Newsweek. And the article from Newsweek reads as follows: Delta COVID variant may squelch Mu in the survival of the fittest struggle. And for those who are not sure of what Mu is, there is another variant out there. There's multiple other variants out there that are called variants of interest or variants of concern. And the Mu variant is one of those now. And you wonder, okay, where does Mu come from? All of these variants are being named after the Greek alphabet, and Mu is one of those cases that have been watched, and now it's starting to make a rise. You can see and find all of this on the World Health Organization website or the CDC's website if y'all want to know more information about all the different variants and things of that case. But this is talking about how this variant of interest may not even come to pass due to how powerful Delta is, but we're going to get into the article and we will see. But shouts out to Kundan in the building. Good to see you. What's the word? Appreciate you. Let me know how you doing, how you feeling. Right, let's get into the article. 2 paragraphs. Well, I didn't put up 3, but 2 paragraphs and we're out. All right. Article reads, the Mu variant, which the World Health Organization recently deemed a variant of interest, like I said earlier, could be squelched, when you squelch something, by the Delta COVID variant in the U.S., an expert has told Newsweek. Again, a lot of this stuff is speaking on what's going on within the U.S., but if y'all see other things and more stuff going out in other parts of the world, please throw them down in the comments and let me know. Please do. Peace out. Peace and love to the brother. George in the building, 93 till Thriftfinity. Good to see you, brother. What's the word? Right, let's continue. Some attention has recently been diverted away from the Delta variant, which currently accounts for 99%. You hear me? Delta variant accounts for 99% of COVID cases in the U.S. By the emergence of the Mu variant of COVID, the WHO and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, describing it as a variant of interest. While Mu has been found in 46 countries and in 51 U.S. states, so 51, the WHO says the variant has not spread as rapidly or effectively as Delta, which was first observed in India and has since been found in at least 170 countries and spreads at least twice as fast, possibly even 4 times as fast as is the original COVID-19 strain. So y'all, we went through a whole grip of them. So 99% for the Delta variant. So that means literally, I don't know where the other percentages breakdowns are between Mu, between Alpha, between Beta, between there is also, I don't know if Lambda was still in there. Lambda is still one of those also that is coming as well. There's a few of them. But out of all of those right now, it's all about Delta right now. All the other ones got squashed or squelched. So it's the last one and we out. Mu, which is believed to have originated in Colombia. So the Mu variant has seemed to be originated from Colombia. That's in South America, if I'm correct. I'm talking about Colombia. Has been selected as a variant of interest because it contains genetic material that could help it evade the antibody protection provided by COVID vaccines. If y'all don't get what that last statement means when it's talking about it contains genetic material that could help it evade the antibody protection provided by COVID vaccines, basically it's saying is that shot that you done just got, Mu can end up going past that and still getting right to you. So it's almost as if taking those shots, at least for the Mu variant, becomes useless. They still have more research to do on it, but they're saying it is not as effective as the Delta. But we will see as more stuff comes up to play. But I just want to let y'all know about that. And most of this article is going to go back and forth about giving you more information on between the Delta and what's going on with the Mu variant, which is this new variant of interest. So that's this article, y'all. Again, it's from Newsweek. Newsweek article, you can look it up. Delta COVID variant may squelch Mu in the survival of the fittest struggle. even the use of survival of the fittest. Think about it. All right, on to the next article. We got more. I won't continue to keep boring y'all too much with a lot of the COVID updates, but it's still such a big thing going on, so I'm going to make sure I give y'all as much information and details as possible with these news reports. So that's why I keep it pushing with it. But if y'all, you take it and leave it with what you need. So then we'll get on to the show. But always got to keep us informed for the show, though. All right. Next article comes from CNBC. And the article reads, World Health Organization extends call for a moratorium on COVID booster doses until the end of the year. So, I don't know if most of y'all have been hearing, but there's been talks of literally getting booster shots because of the fact of over time, for those who have gotten the vaccine or the shots and gotten the 2 doses or even the 1 dose from Johnson & Johnson, it is shown after months, almost between the 6 to 8 or 9 months that it has been out and people have gotten it, the effectiveness of it being able to prevent you from getting COVID and any other variants and strands has decreased. So they want to get booster shots so that it can rebalance and get you back up to a higher level of effectiveness to prevent COVID. So right now, the moratorium at the end right now is telling them to wait, hold off, let's see. There's still more stuff that needs to be tested. Let's not rush it. As well as there's still a lot of people who have yet to still get it, and now we're trying to throw out a 3rd booster, etc., move forward. But let's get into this article. Again, 2 paragraphs and we're out. So, key points we have. The WHO previously urged world leaders to hold off on booster doses until the end of September. About 5.5 billion vaccine doses have been administered globally, but 80% have been given out in high or upper middle income countries, according to the WHO. Interesting. Yeah, Mu variant. This fool. Bro, did you say Mu variant? Because I bet you that Mewtwo gonna be even worse. Bro, you're so goofy. Alright, for those, when it comes to Mew, it sounds, if you Pokemon, Mew, yes. But literally, it's MU. That's the variant's name. It's MU. It's from, again, the Greek alphabet. But, bro, you're goofy as heck. But I wouldn't be surprised, because there's a such thing, for those who don't know either. Bruh, I'm not, look it, you calling it. Just wait, y'all. Come back to this live, because the brother Sabu, Smooth, on top of that, you got About That Time playing in the background, done called it. It's going to be called Mewtwo or Mew Plus, because there's also a Delta Plus, if y'all ever knew. There is actually a Delta Plus out in India. But Delta Plus, for some reason, was as strong as the original Delta, so I don't know how you're going to call it a plus, but, just keep this live and, you strip this part and just be like, Sabu Smooth called it was going to be called Mewtwo. Let's see what happens. But y'all are so goofy, but I love it, y'all. Y'all are so goofy. Let's continue with this article. Again, CNBC, WHO extends call for the moratorium on COVID booster doses until the end of the year. Let's get back to these points. Next one is, we don't want any more promises. We just want the vaccines. So that's another point in there they want. Now let's continue, and here we go. The WHO has extended its call for the moratorium on the COVID-19 booster shots until at least the end of the year. The WHO recently urged world leaders to hold off on getting booster shots until the end of December. There has been little change in the global situation since then, so today I am calling for an extension of the moratorium until at least the end of the year to enable every country to vaccinate at least 40% of its population. the WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom G. I'm not going to call the name. The name is woo, woo, woo. That's all I gotta say. So, literally, that's that article there. The main points I gave you earlier is really what they're stressing, which is talking about how basically we need to wait to get more information, as well as we need to wait until we get more people in different countries and places globally to at least get 40% of their population vaccinated before even thinking about doing booster shots, as well as making sure that these booster shots are at least ready to go. So that's this article. But with that, y'all, let us continue. And I do a little small update on some stuff here, but let me look in here and see these comments real quick. Yeah, y'all are, we laughing on that. Sound like a cat, bruh. You know it. Never knew about the Delta Plus. Yeah, it was this one that was happening still exclusively in India, but didn't hear much more about it, so there's nothing else. That's one Mewtwo Ash doesn't want to catch. Oh my goodness, y'all are goofy and clowning right now, but that's what's up. Yes. All right. Now, I just wanted to give y'all a quick update on some of the medicines that people have been speculating and talking about when it comes to medicines that you can use to help with treating COVID. Quote unquote, can treat it. But I want to bring it up. It has got a bad rap and a name on it, but I just want to update y'all on it. If y'all have never heard it, the particular drug I'm talking about is ivermectin, and I'll give you more details on what it is. But the article reads from Inside Edition. It says ivermectin drug company warns it's not an effective COVID-19 therapy. And the article reads, Joe Rogan has recovered from COVID-19 and is back on his podcast, and he is defending his use of the horse dewormer medicine ivermectin as part of the cocktail of drugs he took to combat the virus. While Rogan credits the drug for his quick recovery, he also took a number of proven treatments for the coronavirus. Most medical experts agree ivermectin is not an effective treatment for COVID-19, and its manufacturer, Merck, manufacturing name, Merck, warned that there was no scientific basis to say that it is. So, it kind of gave you some ideas on that. If y'all don't know, ivermectin is basically a dewormer drug that was mostly used in horses. There is two different types of the ivermectin. There's one that it is for humans, and there's the other one for horses. But people are going overboard with using it and putting it out there as this is something that can help and push and stuff. I'm still learning more about what it is particularly, but it supposedly has a long history that I gotta look into. But just letting y'all know that there's different ones. So ivermectin is one. You have people talk about hydrochloroquine was another one. And then you have some people talk about one called Respum something then. I don't know. All these technical names for these things, for all these different medicines or drugs. So just wanted to update y'all on that. So let's continue with more. It says, bro, what's your thought? Crypto one time. I got you, brother. I will. I'll definitely put you on that, and we'll talk about that. Let me finish these two, and I got you two at the temple, my brother. All right. Next article comes from CNET, and this article reads, and we talked a bit about it earlier. Kids and babies are getting sick. When can they get the COVID vaccine? Article reads, as school gets back in session and kids start returning to classrooms, The U.S. is ushering the biggest wave of COVID-19 cases in children compared to any point in the pandemic, according to the data collected by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association. Per a September 2 report, there were over 750,000 new child cases between August 5th and September 2nd. The week of August 26th and September 2nd, child cases of COVID-19, different states have different definitions of it, represented at least 26.8% of weekly reported cases. As summer winds down and we head into a fall fueled by unease over the Delta variant, some parents might be wondering, when will my child be able to get the shot? Last paragraph and we out of here. 2 weeks ago, Pfizer got their full approval from the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, for its mRNA vaccine in people ages 16 and up. The vaccine still also has another one that is emergency authorization use for kids as young as 12. Some think that having a coronavirus vaccine with full FDA approval will pave the way for local governments, businesses, and schools to mandate vaccines for employees, but that still leaves young children out. Again, we're going to stop right there. There's more with it, but ultimately right now, they're still working out the safety concerns and issues for giving it to youth younger around that age, mostly between that 5 to 11 or 5 to 12 and even younger. So they're still working on that. So as of right now, they're still working on to get those for children, and now there are more cases sparking because of children not being vaccinated. Now, we're done with all of the COVID talk. Now we got some other talk on some figures and entertainment, and then we have one weather report. But next thing, y'all, I wanted to touch on, and I wanted to send my condolences, as well as I wanted to send my respects to now he is with the ancestors. But if y'all do not know, Michael K. Williams, which a lot of people, if you've seen The Wire, he's an actor from The Wire, has passed away. And he's very prominent also in other different movies and other TV shows, not just only The Wire. But I just wanted to at least take this second in time to at least give a little information about him and what he has done when it comes to giving back to, entertainment in that type of community. So I'm going to read this article about him, and then we'll continue. Now, Michael K. Williams, an actor best known for his role as Omar Little on HBO's The Wire, passed on. He was 54. Williams was found in his New York City apartment Monday afternoon, a law enforcement official told CNN. And this is from CNN, I forgot to say. Investigators found drug paraphernalia near his body, the official said. The investigation is ongoing, according to another law enforcement source who spoke to CNN. Our family has been shaken to the core of the loss of our Mike. Thank you to everyone who's contacted us, flooded us with love, and more importantly, prayers. I will miss my brother, my best friend, and birthday partner in this realm. But I know he will continue to watch over me and our family in heaven as he did on earth. Michelle Chambers, Williams' sister, said in a statement on Tuesday. So, if y'all not too sure on the brother Michael K. Williams, definitely look him up, and you definitely get to see his resume. But again, sending out condolences, sending out love and energy to the family, as well as may he continue to move through the universe, giving energy to those who need it and watching over loved ones. Just wanted to do that. So again, Michael K. Williams. Right. Last report, and we on to the next. Wanted to give an update to the folks over in Florida. This is from CNN. This is CNN weather. It says Tropical Storm Mindy makes landfall in Florida Panhandle and is forecast to quickly lose intensity. So I know there's been a whole grip of hurricanes, tropical storms, all this whole grip of stuff going on. But just wanted to at least get an update for the folks that's there in Florida. I don't know specifically where all of the traffic is coming from it, but basically the tropical storm Mindy formed in the Gulf of Mexico on Wednesday afternoon and has made landfall over St. Vincent in the Florida Panhandle. The National Hurricane Center said it is sustained wind of 44 miles per hour was recorded at the Tyndall Air Force Base with a gust up to 55 miles per hour. Now, y'all, I don't know all these numbers and what they mean. All I know is that just a lot going on when it comes to Mother Nature. I don't know who's getting Mother Nature mad or the universe, whatever, nature mad in general. You gotta figure this out. But please be careful to the folks over there in Florida and over there on in the South and also the East Coast. Please be careful. But with that, y'all, that's all the news I got for today. If y'all have anything else, please throw them in the comments. I know the brother in there wanted me to talk about crypto, so we will real quick before we move on to the next topic. But if y'all have any more, please throw them in the comments, and I appreciate y'all so much. All right. So let's see real quick who we got. All right. Let me see what y'all got, and then I'll talk about crypto real quick. RP. Did you see something he made a few years ago called Typecast? Seeing it now makes the last few lines of the piece hit differently. Highly recommended. Dang, yes. The heck is up with all the storms lately? Exactly. I don't know. That's why I'm looking up and finding like this is so much going on. So I don't know if it has to do with the changing of weather during this time right now, but it's definitely been very tripolar here over in Cali. Like, it's hot, then it's cold, windy. Figure it out. That's all I have to say. California, figure it out with the weather. Please do. And we still got fires going on further out north. Like, figure this out. But when it comes to crypto, please do y'all research. Don't just blindly jump in and think that this is, the next best thing. But make sure that it makes sense and it's right for you to do so. So my perspectives on crypto is, as it continues to get more placements in different places, when I mean placements as in being used as a real legit currency in different areas like Bitcoin and things are doing, we're going to see an emergence of people starting to move towards you in cryptocurrencies just because of the technology and what you can do with it, as well as the whole idea of supply and demand, the limited amount of coins and things that you can get. So the value in things will boost up. If you do happen to get yourself started and look into crypto, one that I've heard of was Cardano. Yeah, Cardano, if I'm correct. It's one that's out of Africa. I don't know specifically if it's South Africa, but that's one to look out on there for. But when it comes to crypto, I say please do your research and don't just jump into it, because it's still trying to find its bearings when it comes to being legitimized as another means of currency and money. So play with it like as you will with the stock market. Balance, again, safety versus risk. And if it makes sense for you, go for it. If it doesn't, hold off, do your research. But that's what I got for right there for y'all. But let us move on to the next topic. And again, this is a disclaimer for those who want to join the live. Just know that this will be posted on YouTube. So if you're not comfortable with that, then it is fine that you stay in the comments. But if you're okay with that, you joining the live is basically waiving the liability, and that it will be there on YouTube. So with that, y'all, the next topic that we're going to get into and talk about is distant versus close. Now, you're wondering in your head, okay, what are you talking about when you mean distant versus close? Now, as I usually do, I'm going to give some definitions and some context around these two. And after I do that, we'll dig in and we'll take it where we want to. But y'all let me know in the comments, when you hear the word distant, what are the first few things that come to mind? As well as when you hear the word close, what are the first few things that come to mind? Put them in the comments. While I'm also giving these definitions, put them in the comments. Right. Now, when it comes to distant, we on the Webster's dictionary. Got multiple definitions for it, so listen now. Distant, in this particular case, is used as an adjective. Adjective. Closed off, open, boom. Is it my laptop or does the stream keep interrupting for others as well? Hey, y'all, please let me know so that I know that it's not tripping out. So we don't need this going on. But again, it's giving y'all time real quick to go ahead and look into what's going on with that. Alright. It looks like it's okay for the most part. It looks like the stream is okay, but I'm seeing what y'all are doing real quick. Alright. I was checking the stream, y'all. Alright. So we have, again, distant, far, detached. I'm liking it. He said closed off, open. Appreciate it. Alright. I'm loving those. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for adding that. Now, distant, adjective. I keep on saying objective. It's adjective. First definition for distant, it says separated in space, so away. The B, situated at a great distance, so far off. Get it? Far. Another one, having a great amount of separation between each other. So separated by a great distance from each other. So again, far away. Shout outs to Kiki in the building. Good to see you, fam. Peace and love, as well as what's the word. Another one, separated in a relationship other than spatial. So an idea of that would be a distant cousin or a distant past. Another one, different in kind. So two different backgrounds, distinct, something being different. And another one is going a long distance. So taking a voyage or going far off somewhere. Hopefully it is, Sue. Y'all let me know again. Am I cutting up, or if I'm not, please let me know. So if not, I'm about to end up calling Spectrum. Right. But that's for distance. Now, for close, they call it, there's a transitive verb and there's also an intransitive verb. But we're going to just give just the transitive and then three transitives and then 3 intransitive. So, for close, we have to move so to bar passage through something. So to get into close to the gate so you can get through something. Another one, to block against an entry or a passage. To deny access to. Another one, to bring to an end or period or close to an account. Third, to conclude discussion or negotiation about something. And then to bring or bind together parts or edges. So that's when it is for transitive verb, like it's moving through. Now, for the intransitive verb, they says to contract, fold, swing, or slide. Another one is to come together. So like you meet, you come close. To come to the end of or a period. And the last one, to enter into or complete an agreement. So those are just a few. Y'all let me know. Y'all got more. I see Sue in here giving some more close, near, as well as close being a strong attachment. Exactly. So if y'all not noticing and looking at what we got for the topics for today, you'll get a sense of what we're talking about when we want to talk about distance and close. But here we go. Anybody want to jump in, please come through. This is open for all those to come through and give out their perspectives as well as talk about what they want to talk about. Again, this will be on YouTube, so if you're not comfortable, it's all well. Comments is there. The comment section is for you. But let's get this going. Now, when we're talking about distance versus close, we're speaking in the sense of not only space between places and people, but also we're talking about relationship-wise as well. So like Sue said, strong attachment, as well as basically if you're also closed off from someone. Now, when we look at the differences between distant and close, a question that I do have, and y'all can speak on and y'all can answer it as well in the comments, is when how do you notice when someone is distant and when someone is close? Since we're going to get there and we're talking about at least in relationship wise. You can also tell me in space wise. How do you know when someone is distant and when someone is close? Because it can be used in various different ways. Now, as y'all doing that, when I think of distant versus close, when it comes to a person, and you can say relationship wise, you think of distant as a person who is not, you're not connected to that much. You might call them an acquaintance. You might call them somebody that you see. Or on the flip side, there'll be somebody in your family that's not necessarily down the line, like a straight close blood relative, but more so as in a distant, far down your family lineage and line is what you'll call distant. Now, when I'm thinking of close, I agree with what y'all have put down in the comments, having to do with a strong attachment to someone, being in close proximity of someone, as well as how much of life you've experienced with this person for you to consider this a close relationship or feeling close to that person. So, I'm going to get more deeper into it, but I'm digging the answers. So let me please read off these answers that we got. And again, more than welcome to come in if you're comfortable. If not, it's all good. So we got, it's an energy thing for me. I can be close with someone and we don't talk all the time. I can be distant from someone and I see every day in the same right. I feel that. And for me to take that a bit further too, that just shows a testament to who you are as a person and how you have built your relationship with people and how you've come to connect with that person. Because if y'all don't see the next topic talk about later, it's talking about human connection. Y'all see what I did there? I do this stuff on purpose. I do it on purpose, y'all. If you're not going to catch it, I'm going to keep saying it. I know you're going to get annoyed, but I do this stuff on purpose. Now, the same thing what you were saying, that you can be distant from someone that you see every day. At least from what I'm reading from there, and you can tell me if I'm right, you can tell me if I'm wrong, if I ain't got it all there. But when it comes to things of that nature, it is based off of how you've come to know that person, and you've come to know, I love how you say you use the energy and how they play a role within your life. So, there are certain times, certain places, certain seasons that people will come in and out of your life. And depending on whether it's a peak season for you or it's a down season for you, that person has that particular role that they play. And whether if not, they're part of your supporting cast or they're just someone in the background as an extra, if you get what I mean. But the reason why being the case that you can not talk to somebody for a long period of time and feel like right when you call them or pick back up with them, it felt like you are just back on the same track. Like if you just talked to them yesterday, is because of how powerful y'all built that together. And the opposite, with you being around somebody so much, you may get to really fully see how people are. And again, it's not only what people say, it's also what they do. And you start to notice that it doesn't fit well with you as well anymore. So you begin to give yourself some distance away from that person because of the fact that they're not going to say on par with you, but it just doesn't sit well with you energy wise, vibe wise, etc. But appreciate that, Sue. Thank you. By how much you know them. I agree. And also on the flip side, if you know somebody too much, that also is another way to tell whether or not if that person, you're going to stay close or distance with them too. So again, that could be a double-edged sword if you know them a lot and then be like, yeah, this person, I don't necessarily hang around so much often because of the fact that I know they do this, etc. And it's not in a sense to keep on saying like, yeah, I'm going to judge the person because they done this and they done that. No, it's a necessary tool for you to at least have understanding, and at least empathy to know the person that you are in a relationship with, if you can continue to build or if y'all are just going to leave it as is and stop the presses. So appreciate that. I appreciate that as well, my brother too from the temple. Bye. Right. Now, Kundan saying most people I know are probably acquaintances or associates, especially with this pandemic. I feel that. It's interesting that we are closer to people further away than our own neighbors. Oh, say that again. I'm going to say that again. It's interesting that we are closer to people further away than our own neighbors. And I'm gonna give y'all a little background to at least where I'm from. I'm not afraid to let people know where and how that all plans out and what it is. But I'm from a city. It's Hawthorne. And the city's slogan, or name to remember it by, is the City of Good Neighbors. Which is very ironic, and to your point, Kundan, of how even in my particular neighborhood, in a neighborhood of good neighbors, there's so many folks that I'm not close to at all. And there's some folks that I used to be close to, or quote unquote had relationships with as friends, or what we so-called now can call, acquaintances. And I noticed what they would do doesn't necessarily sit right with me. So I had to distance myself away from them, even though they are in a close vicinity in my neighborhood. Whether if they're 5-6 houses down, maybe even 10 houses down, or even right across the corner or across the street. So I like that point that you brought right there, Kundan. Yes. And the reason why I say really for a lot of the further of you connecting with people, or at least from them being far away, is, yes, we can say, due to, social media and being able to get more connected and further out to people, you start to find more people that, you find a lot more in common with, as well as you vibe more with. So it makes sense, and you feel more connected to those people because you can talk and have convos, you can build, and you can really be able to express how you feel to those folks, because y'all are either in similar places or on similar paths and in similar thoughts and frames. Not to the case of being in an echo chamber where we're going to just say yes, 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 yes to everything, what you're saying, but be able to build each other up when it comes to perspectives, when it comes to needing help, whatever may end up being. But we're on the same page. Like if there's a book and we like chapter 15, like we're all on page 245 on that chapter 15 in this long book of life, So I feel that, brother. Thank you for sharing that. And let's see, it's been harder to know someone's character and daily commitments with most things moving online these days. Yes, it's very hard. And I'm glad you're bringing up this point, because I'm literally I want to talk more about that, and how literally between this distance and close stuff, how it's been really manipulated and formed or transformed due to the rise of social media. So I'm definitely going to touch on that point. But brother, good job. That's true. Bingo. One of my best friends from high school, and I don't talk to as much as we used to, but the bond we built over the years is still the same. The energy is always great, regardless of the time and distance. Yes. Peace and love to you, Shanice. Good to see you in here. What's the word? Shoot, my neighbors and I are actually cool. Listen, I've lived with one of them over the past 2 years. I actually formed a meaningful friendship with one of them over the past 2 years. I feel it. I'm not saying that. Look, I definitely have neighbors that I definitely have connected with, and we're still like this. But I will say there's some that I did before, and now it's like a whole different story. And like I said, they're very close. I have some neighbors. I even have some people within the neighborhood that I travel down a few other streets, and I'm very close to those folks. And that's what's up. Hey, nothing really, watching TV on my phone, bored, boom, boom, boom. My neighborhood is very multicultural, so not everyone vibes with each other. It's a whole nother different thing, a whole nother different topic that is making me bring up as well, too, from what you're saying off of that, too. Boom. I hardly even talk to most of my neighbors, yeah. I feel being distant is better versus being close with someone you don't click with. I feel that. And most of the time, when we feel like being distant with somebody versus being close with them, that's part of a defense mechanism. Again, we talk about the whole idea, some people say survival of the fittest, as well as to defend your ego and how you feel and your safety. And whether that safety doesn't mean physical safety, that can be mental, spiritual, all the different levels of safety. So when you distance from somebody, is because now you're not trying to give that person more of your energy and your time, which is the most valuable thing in this world, at least in this system as we have it now, y'all. Love is another thing, yes, but time is so valuable. So you distance yourself so that you do not continue to give people and allow to give them that time that they don't necessarily end up needing, because time is so precious, and you can be giving that to folks that you want to get closer to. So I feel that, Shinies. Thank you for sharing that. Let's say if you're friends with someone for 7 years, they end up becoming your friend for life. That's interesting. I've never actually heard that saying before, brother. The one that I heard with using the number of 7 was the whole setup of the Native American saying about what you do now will have basically an impact on your generation, your 7 generations later. So what you do now will impact the next 7 generations. So make sure what you're doing now is in a positive impact, so that the next 7 generations will be positively impact versus the reverse. So I've never heard that, for 7 years and become your friends for life. Dang, you made me start really thinking. Made me think of some folks that I know. There's always going to be rules to the, exceptions to the rule. But for the most part, a lot of people that I've known for years, I still have some type of close connection with them, but not all. I'll say not all. But I like that point. Thank you. Exactly. I don't like politeness, but there are some values in just a polite distance. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Now, I want to get back to the point of brother was talking about earlier when it comes to literally being harder to tell about people's characters and their commitments because of things moving online nowadays. With the emergence of social media, it has made it a lot more difficult, even though it says social media. So this is where people come to be social. This is where you come to learn. This is where you come to connect with other people, whether it is in your own city and you not wanting to come out your house, especially because of the pandemic going on, or if it's globally, from Saipan to Japan to Mexico to Sri Lanka, all over the globe. Croatia, wherever you want to end up talking about. But it becomes very difficult to gauge folks online because there is the idea of an online presence or an avatar that you create or a persona that you create online that is not necessarily a reflection of your true person in real life. So it becomes more and more of a difficult task to be able to tell what's you online versus you in real person or in real life. Let's say in real person. So there's a lot of vetting, there's a lot of thinking, a lot of digging, and there's a lot of talking time to be put it in and invested to figure people out and to learn more about who people are and what they do when it comes to the whole convo and the whole conversation when it comes to social media and that connection. Shouts out to the brother Fred Wizard
Hey,
in the building, as well as peace and love to you, Kundan. What's the word?
hey,
How you doing?
what's the word?
Yes. So I appreciate you. I'm glad you jumped in because I was going to say, I was like, I appreciate me talking a lot and y'all coming through and giving me comments, but I'm not going to lie. I like it when folks come in so we can just bounce ideas off back and forth. But
Hmm.
I still appreciate the comments, y'all. But what you got? What you got, Kundan? What you got?
Yeah, I was also wondering about how it's worse with the pandemic and the lockdowns and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But even before that, I feel like there's not enough of a, communal context for people to get to know each other. Like there's just like regular events that people go to, like the Cool Lab or the Mo Betters, but it's not like a real community. I think there's a real loss of that, at least here in the
Mm-hmm.
West, where there's just people like staying together in the same land for generations or thousands of years, like we
Yeah.
did in the past. Especially with people moving with because of jobs or whatever, mainly because of jobs, right?
Yeah.
It's worse in some towns, like I don't know how people get by in Vegas, for example, where it's a totally transient town where
Mm.
people just stay there temporarily.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that's like an extreme example. But even something like LA or Orange County has it feels very transient,
Mm.
very temporary.
Because there's so many different, we've got different cities, we got different cultures within those
Mhm.
cities, so everybody has a certain way of approaching each other and things of that nature.
Mhm.
Most people, if you don't know, y'all can throw in the comments here and later on throw in like the cities or the places and countries y'all from. Specifically, I know in Los Angeles, at least for me knowing, it's very diverse for sure,
Mhm.
but definitely diverse in the fact, or very at least when it comes to the thinking and the minds behind the culture. a lot of it is just here for, I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to live. I'm trying to be this social media presence. I'm trying to do this. It is very individualistic driven, and it is about making a lot of connections, but it's not necessarily always talking about the quality of those connections. Oh, I'm just trying to meet this person so then I know I'll get put on. Versus being able to learn how to build that. So I agree with you when it comes to, we don't
Yeah,
necessarily have a
that's
lot of not just rules, but a structure that's set up to create a community around something, and how to at least now navigate it during this time. I know beforehand, you know, people still go out and do their thing, but you don't see people necessarily like coming up and like supporting a person or a group. It's more like I'm here with my group of people and I'm supporting them, versus like if you see somebody doing a thing, this is artistic wise, or if you see somebody, you know, dancing, or they might have wrote a poem, or you just met them at the bar or wherever you are, and they do some type of, you know, skill that you like to learn and know about. Most people are not thinking in the long set of building a close relationship in a sense of how, you know, really this person is doing where they are. It's more very business minded. There we go. A lot of stuff in LA is very business minded. It's like cool, the personal is like there, it's a part of it, but it's very business minded.
yeah, exactly. That's what I heard. I met an artist in Long Beach, but he lives in um, LA, and he was talking about how it is very business minded. It's not a it's more like a networking minded way of dealing or relating with people rather than building friendship where people will like some people might even like go to events with a stack of business cards and they go there like with the mindset that they will exchange like business cards with everyone. It's
Yeah.
one of the first things you might ask is what do you do, and it is a very what can you do for me, very transactional. Yeah, that's the word.
Yes,
Yeah,
very transactional. Yes,
yeah,
I love that
yeah,
point that you put on there.
yeah.
Now, on top of this, and I mean, you can give us more. I wanted to go back on the comment because I was talking about chores and how it helped me. We got to this point with this convo. The brother to at the temple also put in there about his neighborhood being very multicultural, so
Mm,
not everyone vibes with each other. I want to talk to that point of how your own ethnic background or culture, or how you identify within that, and how that is seen either in the media, and how that interaction affects other people in knowing you. Because I
mm,
feel, because of things being very multicultural, we have, of course, these stereotypes and these already, you know, biases already about a group of people
yeah,
without even
exactly.
meeting them beforehand. So that can also have an effect of how close
The
you're going to willingly be able to
xenophobia.
get
Yeah.
somebody, or how distant you're going to be with that particular person because of what's all of this right here. But
Mm,
you let me know your thoughts on that.
yeah. And then somebody said, I'm in South, I believe that's Georgia.
Yes.
We're surrounded by racists. Yeah,
Mm,
that's not surprising. Georgia is one of those places with Republican control, and they try to do the voter suppression laws all over the place. Uh, but yeah, but it's all relative. In sometimes I've even told somebody that I would rather talk to the KKK than the California white yoga teacher or hippie type person,
mm,
just because at least the KKK is honest.
yeah.
Like they're shamelessly, proudly racist, and I know they're not gonna gaslight me. Whereas the covert racist, which is really what it is over here in
Yes.
California,
Mm-hmm.
they're more likely to not only be racist but also emotionally abuse me on top of their racism
Mm-hmm.
by denial, by gaslighting, by reverse victimhood, calling me the real racist for calling out their racism. It's like multiple levels of manipulation, denial, gaslighting,
Mm,
emotional abuse, and that's torture. That's, in my view, that's a lot worse, like in a
yeah.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, look at, so a lot of
Yeah.
those boundaries that we have, and we know
Mhm.
again, these biases that we have of different cultures and people has that effect on our perspective of how we interact with people. And yes, it is very, like you said, relative. It depends on your experience of where you at and how you know. But that gets almost back to an original point, and I'm not saying right now, of to even start talking about when you become distant and close to somebody, you know, first impressions and first experience with people is very, 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 very crucial. And the reason why I said that is because when you think of building, because now we're in the whole relationship realm, we can talk about distance as in how far you are in space and all these different things, but for really the talk of today, it really is based around a lot of the relationship type things, and especially now there's so much talk about relationships. I don't know. There's so much on not only the news but all around social media. It's very important to have that first impression go well because of the fact that that is your building block or your foundation for you to start building some type of rapport or relationship with someone. And again, as much as we don't like to say we judge people, unfortunately, we do. We have ideas of people depending on how you look at it. If you just judge people off the bat because of their cover, you may not get to see how deep and how beautiful the context of that cover is. And yes, I just flipped the whole saying from Martin Luther King. But when it comes to you see their behaviors and the way that they speak and how they interact with other people, that's a whole nother different story when we talk about judging.
And the patterns of behavior.
And
right?
their patterns of behavior. So the consistency and
Because
baselines.
you can still manipulate people one time
Yeah.
with a specific behavior, but it's harder to manipulate a series of behaviors, like a pattern over time.
But see, you won't know that. You won't know that unless you get close to someone. And when we mean close, as in you get to know them more. Because what usually ends up happening is when you're very close with somebody and you're open with them, which is funny to say when you're close, open, it's like, aren't those two opposites, close and open?
Yeah.
But when you're open to someone and you provide a space for that, you start to let people be who they are and they show you. It may not come out consciously. They'll try to still maybe if they're, trying to hide things, but unconsciously things are going to start coming out and you'll notice. But if you create and start off with a distance, they'll always be able to put up that front. Because once again, we're doing these fronts because we're trying to evaluate, we're trying to vet, and we're trying to see, okay, if I'm going to invest time in this person, this place, or this group, I kind of want to know what's going on. So when you go to places, you go and you fill out what's going on. Some people jump right in and they're ready to go. But some people just kind of sit in the background and watch, fill out the vibe and see if this is something for them to be like, all right, now I can get loose and, kind of just start having fun. But that's just a part of, again, the human and our whole idea of at least getting either distant or close with stuff. But
I do want to push back a little on that.
Please do.
So I think it's a both and, right? Because I feel like you're focusing back on being close and distant, right?
Yes.
So if I call in somebody on their racism, transphobia, fatphobia, whatever the issue may be, right?
Yeah.
It means, like, if they were emotionally mature, they would feel a certain amount of gratitude because it means that I still feel a certain amount of closeness to them, that I still have some trust, some faith, and some hope in them. Because conversely, I've also blocked people without saying anything, like just stop contacting them. And I knew somebody, like, I knew a woman who was a men's coach, and there would be times when a strange man, a stranger, right,
Yes.
would
Master J.
message her on Facebook Messenger and be like, just say hi and not say anything else.
Yeah.
And she would just immediately block them, right? And I wasn't in her shoes. I had not lived her life, especially as a masculine presenting person, right? And I used to, at first I was like, judging her a little bit. I was like, well, that's harsh. She didn't even get to know this person,
Yeah.
right? And so later on, she started doing experiments where, and then she posted screenshots where she
Mm-hmm.
would try to engage with somebody like that, and it would just go downhill from there. Like she would just like, uh, they would just hit on her, and when she rejects them, they would get angry,
Yeah.
and she would have to block them anyways. So it's more
Mm-hmm.
like it's not even this is beyond intuition, where it's more like experience would
Yeah.
tell her that this behavior where somebody just says hi
Yeah.
is very entitled behavior, where they expect you to
Respond back.
respond back and respond with more than just hi, when they
Yeah.
don't even give a reason for responding back, right? And
Mm.
so it's almost like that same pattern of behavior
Mm-hmm.
is recorded not over just one person, but over a group of people. There's a patterns for not just one person, but those patterns can also apply to whole groups of people, where you can do basically what Malcolm Gladwell would call thin slicing, right?
Okay.
Where you can really like sometimes know what will happen, you can predict just from like past patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no. Honestly, nah. You just gave the other side of the coin. That's all you ended up
Hmm.
doing. Is because when
Right.
it comes to this whole idea of being distant and close, it's really again from your perspective. Like
Hmm.
that particular case is knowing that you can talk about difficult things and you can push back on people that they'll
Hmm.
know and they'll be appreciative of you doing so. So no,
Hmm.
I definitely get you on that point, as well as literally cutting BS before it even starts, based off of what you've
Exactly.
seen in the past. Yes,
Hmm.
and then again, you can challenge that and be like, well, that doesn't necessarily mean everybody that ends up saying or doing that is not necessarily wanting you to do those same particular behaviors. And you can be like, well, why aren't you being more open about that? But again, that's the whole, back and forth of
Hmm.
just getting to like, okay,
Yeah.
why is your reason for what you're doing in your behavior
Hmm.
based off of that? But I
Yeah.
feel that. I feel that.
Yeah. In fact, more recently, so there's a Facebook group called "Seems Like Your Spirituality is Cultural Appropriation," right?
Mm,
And basically, it had reached like 20,000 members, and the group got zapped, basically banned by Facebook for violated community standards, their double standards, right? Just
mm-hmm.
because a white woman um, complained to Facebook that people were being hateful towards her for calling out her racism, right? And then colonialism. And it ended up getting banned. So they took like a 2 month hiatus and focused more on building their Patreon and their Discord. But
Yeah.
now they've recreated two new groups in place of the one
Yes.
just for us people of color. They call it visibly racialized people, to be more
Okay.
specific. And then one is a more open group. And recently, in a more open group, this woman was trying to, you know, push back on cultural appropriation, and basically all of her patterns of behavior again were the patterns of sea lining, right? Sea lining is when
Okay.
you play innocent and ask too many questions, and
Mm.
but you're not actually interested in the answer. You're just basically trying to disarm somebody through asking too many questions. It's also known as white interrogation. There's a
Okay.
difference between actually being curious and trying to like
Learn.
um, yeah, like actually trying to learn and not wanting to learn, but basically trying to argue by asking questions that are more like, trying to like
Attack.
penetrate your arm. Yeah,
Okay.
attack, penetrate your armor. But I was like, I had time and I had the energy. I was very like patient,
Yeah.
and I was like, what do you mean by this? I was questioning her back, right? Playing her same game. But eventually I was like, wait, this is beginning to sound like sea lining, and I just tagged the admin. I've just put tag admin, and the group founder
Mm.
just immediately just blocked her, like, or from the group, just banned
Mm.
her from the group, and she was like, no foolishness this time, meaning we're not gonna risk getting zucked again because this pattern of behavior is going to lead to the same thing happening to even the new group. And the group was like
Mm.
barely on for 2 weeks, the new group. and already the foolishness, the nonsense was happening. And
Yeah.
so again, that's another example where like in this normally I'd be the person who would immediately block somebody like that, but this time I just happened to be patient. It's that saying that some people say I got time today.
Yeah.
Right? I
Yep.
was having that attitude, and she was like, I got no time today.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for that particular story. Yeah. Nah. It just goes to show that honestly, when again figuring out the whole difference between being distant and close from somebody, that again, y'all, it's not only what the people say, but it's also what they do. And Kundan, I can hear what you doing with that fan.
Oh yeah, I have to change the position again.
It's all good. Now I wanted to get a little bit more deeper into both of them, and then
Hmm.
we'll get to move over into the last topic. So if y'all got more stuff, please throw them in the topics, man. Just throw them down there in the comments. Not the topics, but you know what I mean. Um, Now, since I know we're talking mostly when it comes to really relationships, when it thinks of close and distant. Now, I wanna get to it in the aspect of let's do our goals and dreams, and look at it in the aspect of what's a distant goal, or also what's a goal that's close, and how do you picture and how do you get to capturing those particular things. So really getting at is, how do you end up? Oh, okay, you was putting it in there. Okay, all right. What I'm
Wait, so
really
what are you saying?
So basically, I was getting at talking about the idea of having a close goal and a distant goal,
Hmm.
and how do you go about getting either again closer to something that you feel is distant, or something that is like real close and tangible for you to grab, but you might not necessarily want to do that. So
Hmm.
I'll give an example. So for me, right now, with a lot of the stuff that's going on right now, I had a distant goal years back to work in the school district. I just wanted to be a school counselor, but a counselor of some sort. So that was a distant goal that I had. So a lot of the other goals that I had that were very close in my hand were, of course, to end up going back to school. So going to a school that was literally, about 5-10 minutes. No, not 5-10 minutes. But I would say about at least 15-20 minutes away from me to get closer and closer to that goal. So yes, I'm talking about how do we inch this out. So coming up with plans on how to go from something that's so distant to you that seems like it's going to be so far off in the future versus something that's very close and tangible for you to grab now.
So like breaking it down into smaller baby steps.
Yes.
Hmm.
So continuing on with the example, um, and it's gonna be a flip to this right now. So I went about going and okay, went and did my schooling, got all of at least the credentials and the necessary schooling that was needed for me to now go ahead and apply to get into the school district. Now I've gotten to this point, y'all, that this distant goal that I had now has become such a close goal. But because of this situation that's going on with us in the pandemic and other things that have transpired, also when it comes to interlining with relationships, I have become disinterested. And from achieving this particular goal that was distant, but now it's so close, and I'm I'm moving back and distancing myself from this particular goal.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to show that as an example of how, when you think of in the case of a goal, how do you, with those steps, how do you keep yourself motivated and keep yourself passionate about something you do the closer you get versus how distant you are? Because I feel like when you're very distant from something and you're learning to get your way there, you have those small steps, so you're able to keep yourself motivated. But when you start getting closer and closer, I start to feel like those are the last final, steps and chapters to be really testing you. Be like, are you really here for this, or are you not?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's okay to change your mind. It's just a question of, are you changing your mind for genuine reasons or just out of fear and frustration,
Mm,
or even guilt and anger, like whatever the emotional turmoil that you're experiencing, or are you changing your mind out of conviction, right?
mm,
In fact, I just finished reading A.D.V.I.S. 2, the sequel to uh, the novel I read earlier this year.
mm,
The finale basically is called Redemptor. Just finished it today,
mm.
and there's a huge theme throughout the book about don't confuse guilt for conviction, right?
Yes.
And but you can substitute the word guilt for any other uh, difficult emotion like fear,
Mm,
frustration, anger, right? Uh,
yes.
and so yeah, and that's why it's so important even before you embark on the goal to do it for the genuine reason rather than say trying to prove something to your father, right? For example, like I think I mentioned this before, and but if you realize that in the middle of a goal or close to reaching it, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
if you realize, for example, that you just was doing it just to prove it to your father,
Yes.
if that's the case, then I think then you could say that's for a genuine reason you're letting go of this goal. That's more out of conviction, right? But if
Mm,
it's more about you're getting frustrated, the whole like 3 feet away from goal phenomena, right?
yeah. Okay.
Uh, then you gotta be persistent and tenacious and be like, oh no, I gotta overcome this frustration and just keep going. So it really
Yes.
depends. Yeah,
I appreciate you sharing that because that's where
yeah.
I did want to go with that. And this, like I said, this was kind of a small tangent off from the relationship part
Hmm.
because it's not only when we think of distance and close, we also can talk about it in terms of your perspective and how you're getting things done. So that's why I wanted to bring up goals because everybody got goals. So why not definitely get some idea talking about that? But the main thing I did
Hmm.
want to talk about, like you said, it's the intention. So that's what I wanted to get
Hmm.
behind that is your intention on how you look at these things. Because when we think at it from something being the reason why I said, close and distant, the other words that you can use in, to switch interchangeably with the close and distant is short term, long term. You can switch
Hmm.
those two. Now, to quote the brother right now, Master J, saying, as long as your feet are planted firm on this planet, everything will be meant to be. Close goals and distant goals.
Hmm.
That's your intention as well as that's your determination and your drive to do so. But
Hmm.
how like you said, how are we able to keep our motivation to do so, especially if we are continually to question as we're going on that route? And again, like you said, talking about you got to really know what you're really doing this for because whatever
Hmm.
your intention and your purpose behind going to whatever goal that is, y'all don't know. That's your fuel. That's your fuel to
Hmm.
that fire. So if your goal is just to go outshine somebody, I'm gonna tell you now, that's not even unleaded gas. That's like I don't even know what type of gas that ends up being, but you're not gonna be running for a very long time for your car. Now, when
Hmm.
it comes to maybe that being you want to build wealth and build a family to move on further on down the line, generations to build generational wealth, oh, then you have a lot more in the tank and more fuel. That's almost up that premium grade, even more further on. That's going to push you further. But you're still going to have to take pit stops to make sure to assess and evaluate, okay, am I on that route to still continuing towards that goal? Is this something that is necessarily that I need to keep pushing forward with doing? If it's not, do I need to make a U-turn? Do I need to make a left or right? Whatever it is. So being able to take those times to reflect and do so to make sure that your initial purpose and why and intention behind it is enough for you to keep pushing further with it. But I will tell you, no disrespect to folks who their main driving point for doing any goal that they got is to prove somebody wrong, you have to be careful with how you do that. You can
Yeah, I
prove
feel like
people wrong, but go
speaking
ahead.
of Los Angeles, a lot of people in LA are probably like that. They're trying to prove something to somebody, and that's why it's such a egoic, like shallow city for the most part. Like when I was living there, I wasn't living in LA proper, but I was living in Winnetka, which is in like by Encino.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was there for like 6 months. I was living there.
Hmm. Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
your intention and things behind it, it's great, but just know
Hmm.
you have to continue to push yourself. And if your why is not enough,
Hmm.
then it is not going to get you there. You're going to fall short. And the thing is, you have to be careful of doing that, because then you start to question, is it me? Did I do this? Am I this? I'm a failure. People this. And if you're trying to see, it's almost like if you're making a bet, especially if you're trying to go against somebody who's saying that you can't do this, it's like you're making a bet with them. And you
Hmm.
feel if you don't get to the end of that line to prove that person or whoever wrong, that they win. And once they win, you feel like all hope and all place is lost because of the fact that you put your ego, you put all these other different things on the line, and at the end, it didn't deliver. So then it starts to make you think that, yo, was I even capable of doing that in the first place? So that's why be
Hmm.
careful of what you use as a fuel for your goals, whether if it's close or distant, long term, short term. But let me read the brother. He's going in here. I want
Hmm.
to read some of the stuff that is going on in these comments. So we got time is a great element and factor that applies to everything. Yes, time is the most important resource in this world right now. Y'all can argue with me and say any other resources, but I'm gonna stand on time being the most important
Hmm.
resource on in this plane of existence. So I agree with you. It is astronomically astonishing and amazing. Thought to be continued. This fool is goofy. That's real stuff, bro. Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
Definitely. The
Yeah,
intentional
for sure.
motive to reach personal goals is
Mm.
based on faith factors. Oftentimes, I've been riding in passenger seat, letting reality circumstances a reality circumstance. Okay, rather me taking control of my own choices. But
Hmm.
my mind, is constantly criticizing every intention I make before I do it in action. Honestly, I am my best critic. Aren't we all, brother? And
That's
I
probably a good
appreciate
thing
it.
to a certain extent. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I appreciate
Yeah.
your thought, Master Jay. No wonder you a
Hmm.
master of the 2000. But
Yeah.
that's where you have that inner battle with yourself, and just know that it's great that you're
Hmm.
thinking critically, but there's to a point where you have to balance that out. Like
Yeah.
you can't necessarily keep on just saying, yo, all right, that was a bad move, that was this move. Like, you
Hmm.
got to start even questioning that own self. Okay, why did I call that a bad move? Maybe necessarily in that point in time I felt a particular way and it made sense to me like that. So learning to evaluate in a sense of, I can see what I did that didn't work, but I can see where I can improve next time. So you get the balance on each
Yeah. It's
side.
learning to differentiate. Like, is this inner critic
Yes.
my genuine voice, or is it somebody else's voice that I have held on to? Is it my teacher's voice, my parents, my football coach,
Yes.
anybody that we almost like uh they have like a sub personality in our subconscious mind that's still running our programming, and that's why we need to really get in touch with them, make friends if we need
Yes.
to. If
Yes.
not, we need to fire them or kick them out, like whatever we need to do to resolve that. I think
And
that's
yes.
what's important. Yeah.
In the words of people saying in pop culture, don't let people and things live in your mind rent free.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
don't don't let them do that, because again,
Mm-hmm.
when you start to do that, you give the power to those folks.
Mm-hmm.
Since power is such another important key to a lot of this too, because we talk about
Mm-hmm.
energy, talk about motive, we talk about drive, but you got to have that power. You got that horsepower behind that engine to help you get to where you need to go, or are you taking that power out because of the fact that other people are saying, yo, that's the wrong engine, or that's not right, you shouldn't be doing this and doing that. So don't let a lot of people's criticisms, but do you think it's your criticisms, but ultimately they creeped in from other people, live in your
Exactly.
mind rent free of that. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, brother, you got this, man.
And some of them even, that's why I use the word subpersonality, because some
Yeah,
of them even end up becoming almost real, like with their own like living consciousness. Like they call them egregores and topos and sabitors. Well,
yeah.
sabitors you create on purpose, and topos kind of you create them on purpose, but egregores are often created accidentally, usually as a group consciousness. But
Mm,
sometimes even on the individual level, you you could keep an egregore around and let them run you,
yeah,
uh, even though it's your own creation.
yeah.
You think you're created by it. It's like reverse, right? It's upside down, and you let it run you. So it's like, and that's why it's important to do the work of not only deprogramming, but even an exorcism of sorts sometimes if it's like really bad, right? Uh, because on the extreme level, some people even have what they call multiple personality disorder, right? Where people might have five personalities, and when another personality is controlling you,
Yeah.
it's almost like you literally have a different body because uh, when one personality is controlling you, you're not allergic to bees and peanuts. But when the other personality is controlling you, you're allergic to bees and peanuts. That's how
Mm,
powerful it is, right? That's how
mm,
powerful it can be. But that's like an extreme example. But
yes,
all of us have a certain amount of subpersonalities that are controlling us that we think is us, but it's actually not us. Like,
yes.
yeah,
Identify, be aware, and the other thing I want to add to that, also agreeing to your points, Kundan, but as well as Master J in the building too, is balance. Balance as well as
exactly.
being patient with yourself. And if I could sing the
Hmm.
chorus again to the song I got y'all, it just to me it sums up everything when it comes to that. So patience, no rushing to every destination and talking so bold that you don't want to face it. The past is gone and the future can't save you. So stop, look, listen, and then gather up your patience. So
Mm.
literally take all of that time that you need to be introspective when it comes to doing stuff, and knowing that if you're not ready to meet that obstacle that you're doing, don't go in there sloppily just wanting to do it, and then you end up throwing yourself back out and you go back 5 6 7 steps. It's okay to
Hmm.
to lose or to fail. Failure is another great teacher, but you at least want to go in there with a plan and be ready to do it.
Hmm.
Don't feel that you're entitled for things that happen to you, which I feel another part of this whole distance versus also close, to just wrap some things in and kind of finish up to move to the next one, is that again we talk about this whole idea of not only impressions but also the entitlement that you know you get from growing with people.
Hmm.
You feel when you start becoming close with people that now you start getting entitled to certain times and certain things with people because of the fact that, oh bro, you know me, Mike, help me out, or like, sis, you know me, like, come on, like, we fam, like, come on. And it's like you have to also be careful of that too, of that whole perspective of going there too, because then also the distance thing can also get you a form of entitlement and be like, well, these people is not as great as me. Again, we start putting one person over another person, that I'm greater, I'm superior versus this other person. So
Hmm.
with the whole
Yeah,
concept there, but go ahead.
and to your point about proving earlier, proving something
Mm-hmm.
to somebody, there's a wonderful TED talk about this by Brian Franklin. He also co-wrote the book The Last Safe Investment with my friend Michael Ellsberg. And
Mm.
so Brian Franklin gave a wonderful TED talk called The Most Powerful Question on Earth. Actually, the most dangerous question on earth is the title of the TED talk.
Mm.
And basically, the most dangerous question is to ask yourself, if I have nothing more to prove to anybody, and if I have nothing to be ashamed of, like everyone knows my secrets now, I have nothing more to hide,
Mm-hmm.
then what do I really, really want?
Mm. Mm. Yeah. What's in the tank? What is in
Mm,
your tank? And with that, I think that's a great segue to talking about the next topic that we get into, y'all. And the last one
mm,
for tonight, which is why human connection is a double edged sword.
mm.
Now, y'all are thinking, okay, what do you mean by human connection being a double edged sword? If those folks don't know the symbolism of what a double edged sword is, basically we talk about it's the pros and the cons.
Mhm.
It's something that can help you, but then also it can hinder you.
Yeah.
Now, before we want to get more into it,
They can encourage you or discourage you, right?
yes,
People can do that, yeah.
again, before
Mm,
before I want us to get into it, I actually have this is a real short article from socialwellnesscollective.org, and I wanted to read it,
mm,
and then I wanted us to kind of reflect on what they find to be the importance of human connection, and then we'll get in
mm,
and we'll break down more into it. So all y'all in the comments, please put your perspectives, put that all there, and if you're hearing it, put down what's the word as well too. Right. So
mm,
this article is called "The Importance of Human Connection," and this is what it reads. We know it innately. Human connection is at the core of our happiness and existence. Whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, family, or desire for community, we know we need to be connected and connected in a meaningful way. One that supports us, loves us, reminds us we are not alone. After reading this post from Premia, I felt the data and research could help us better understand the most important need to a happy human experience, or I should say existence. Here is my favorite excerpt. We have genetically evolved to experience the tangible benefits of human connection, which include an increased feeling of belonging, purpose, happiness, self worth, and confidence. And studies across all mammals show that our well being depends on our connections with others because of how we are wired to experience social pain and pleasure. Meaningful human connection is necessity, or it's a necessity, not a luxury. There's a region of the brain called the medial prefrontal cortex, y'all. It's right here. It's all right in here. That sits between our eyes. Yeah, I'm over here. It's all right here because I'm aiming at the
mm,
brain. But it's big, y'all. In our eyes, and it's activated when we self-reflect.
mm,
Self-reflection. Several studies have showed that the same region of our brain is activated when we are influenced by beliefs of others around us. Beliefs, y'all. Conformity at times. What this means is that there's a part of our brain that enables social influence, desiring connection and harmony. Mm. Even our memory is impacted by social networks, suggesting that the motivation and retention is stronger with a relationship as the driver rather than the individual achievement. So, not just being individualistic, but being very collectivist when it comes to reaching things.
mm,
Research shows that children learn more effectively when their motivation is to teach someone else as
mm,
opposed to learning to take a test. So,
mm,
on many levels, we are programmed to connect to those around us. According to UCLA professor Matthew Lieberman, being socially connected is our brain's lifelong passion.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, I think they've done research that shows that human connection is the number one indicator of long life, and they've done an experiment which I think today would be considered would be illegal and unethical, but back in the day they did it, where I believe they had two groups, one a control group and the other group of newborn babies in orphanages that
Yes.
were given food and shelter and medicine, like whatever they needed, but they were not touched. They were not
Yes.
given the human touch, and the babies that did not receive the human touch, they didn't live past their first year. They died before their first birthday. So that goes to show like we
Mm,
need more than just food and medicine and shelter. We need that human connection.
yes.
Yeah.
And to the brother's points in here, as a unique individual in the human species, I learned more on truth to uncover the hidden lie. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
As well as it's what sustains our ability to grow more in understanding social utility, but also unity. Shout outs to you. I must just say Betty because I don't want to mess up the name.
Yeah, I bet it.
But yeah, this whole idea of connection, unity, community, it's all very important because again, we're not wired to be just an individual species. All the way
Mm-hmm.
down to our wiring, our primal instincts and all of that pre-wiring. We're very tribal. We said it multiple
Mm-hmm.
times. We're a tribal species, we're tribal people, all of that goes together. So we function and we do very well and we thrive within a group setting. As much as we can be like, yo, I did this on my own, I'm self-made, which we've already debunked the whole idea of being self-made and
Mm-hmm.
stuff and talked about. It just goes to show you that when people talk about wanting to do something of a purpose that's greater than self, that you hear that phrase, a purpose that's greater than self, not for self, but greater than self, you see people have a better impact on living a life that's not only happy but also fulfilled because it's not just for them, it's for something that's greater than myself.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about, okay, why is human connection a double-edged sword? Why is there some good and why is there some bad? Why is something that hinders you and why is it something that also helps you to grow? Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it basically by saying, okay, what are the things that human connection, we already talked on a few already, what are some things that human connection helps to promote, but also what are some things that human connection can also damage people or can at least
Mm-hmm.
make people feel distant?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you have any you want to speak on Kundan or any of y'all in the comments, please do. Throw them down in there. What are
Yeah,
some things?
just like the criticism, the discouragement, the judgment, uh, the bias, prejudice, xenophobia, and even like outright systemic oppression like racism, sexism,
Mm,
fatphobia, transphobia, all of that as well.
all the
Like all of
isms.
that, all the isms, yeah.
Gotta hydrate, y'all. Y'all drink some water too. Hydrate.
Yeah, it was like 90 degrees like a few days ago, and now it's still like over 80 degrees.
Again, for me, like I said, California got to get its weather together because it is all over the place. I know we
Although
supposed
at
to be coming out of
nighttime they
summer.
go like 74. It's like 74 right now, but it was like 80, over 80 for like 5 hours today.
Yes.
Yeah,
Master J says, love transcends all dimensions. I can feel that.
yeah,
It depends. I'm not going to say depends. We gotta use love in a sense of, are we talk about it in a frequency and a vibration, or are we talking about it in the physical sense of how some people display what love is, and all that they see. Because if we talk
yeah.
about it
Some
from a
people
vibe or a
like
frequency,
misuse,
I'm with
they
that.
abuse the word love
Yeah.
and use it to manipulate people. It has to be love with, justice and respect. I think I've told this story before about uh, the guy who wrote and sang the song "All You Need Is Love." John
Mm.
Lennon, "All You Need Is Love." Well, in
Yes.
his real life, he was like abusive to his wife and his gay manager. His gay Jewish manager. He was homophobic to him, and his wife was
Mm.
Japanese, so he was on both sexist and racist towards her, right?
Mm.
But And then the guy who wrote the song Love Is Not Enough, who created a band called Rage Against the Machine. That's
Machine.
like,
Mm-hmm.
it's literally called Rage Against the Machine. He wrote the song Love Is Not Enough, and his concerts are like very, loud and angry, right? He was like, you know, by all appearances, he was like the opposite of peace and love, right?
Yeah.
But in his real private life, like it turns out, he was like a family man. He was, good to his wife and children, stayed together with them for like decades, and was had a real peace and love about him.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm glad you shared that story because it goes to show you, and I'm gonna use the acronym. And I mean, after you did the story, I remember I
Hmm.
talked about the acronym, so I'm gonna bring back
Hmm.
my acronym that I have for love, and you can interchange the O with multiple different ones. So my
Hmm.
acronym for love is learning others' values every day, or
Hmm.
learning one's values every day. So love for yourself, learning our values every day, as in a relationship of a person and
Hmm.
people, are learning others, which is the community and the world outside of you, values every day.
Hmm.
Because our values and what we think and how we feel, how we move things ultimately continue to shift and change over time as we get older and experience more things. So to be able to stay up to par and really show that you love somebody, you continue to learn about them. Whether that's you giving
Hmm.
of the time, whether that's you just listening, whether if that's just you going and chilling on a bench and they're literally just glad you're sitting by them because now their favorite pastime is just sitting on a bench and watching birds and things. Like
Hmm.
those little small things for me shows, like the brother saying, the frequency, vibration, and that the true sense of what love is, not the romanticized Disney fantasyized type love that has been thrown and put and shoved into our mouths and our heads due to monetary gain. Hallmark, the whole idea of Valentine, all this other different stuff. It comes around with that to commodify and monetize love when you can't put a price on love because love is priceless. But we
Hmm.
still do it
Yeah.
at the end of the day because we're trying to make some type of concept of what love is without truly respecting the presence and the feeling and vibration of what love really is. And I'm not saying like I know what real love and stuff is, but I think of it as in frequency and vibration, and you taking time and effort to learn somebody every day.
Hmm. Another good example is actually the corporation. I mean, the company, Cards Against Humanity. They make the card game of the
Mm,
same name. I don't know if you've ever
yeah,
played that game.
I
Uh,
I I
it's
want to say I did, but I know what it looks like. I've seen some of the questions.
it's yeah, it's very funny and rude. It's not racist or sexist or anything like that on that level, but it's just like they don't care about being polite.
Yeah.
And I've talked about, how politeness is itself is a weapon of class warfare and very problematic before.
Yes.
So yeah, they're not polite at all. Like they don't care about, that surface level things, but they're like, you know, their jokes are very rude. And so again, by all appearances, it might be unloving, right? But
Mm-hmm.
they've done like really cool, like generous stunts. Like for example, one time they asked their customers for donations. Uh, I don't know what reason they gave to
Yeah.
pull this off, but it turns out what they were really doing was an experiment at redistributing wealth, because what they did was uh, all of those donations
Yeah.
were actually meant for their own customers that were donating. So what they
Hmm.
did was they redistributed like large, like $1,000 checks to people who donated like $5, I think. And I think that's how they figured out. Oh, I think they even asked for their income. I think they even did that actually. So to the lower income people, they sent like $1,000 or $10,000 checks uh, with a little letter saying congratulations on this experiment. And then to the people who were rich, the rich customers, they gave like uh, like $5 tax and be like, and so it's like, but it's on brand though, like what they were doing. Like it was
Yeah.
like very rude, but it was also very generous and kind. Like,
Balance, y'all.
yeah.
Balance. Now, to subway or segue ourselves right back into the double-edged sword in this of human connection. I know you said a few of them, basically a lot of the isms, and it's basically you can say the negative aspects of just the human condition ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to want to uplift people, but for
Mm-hmm.
some folks, how they've learned to uplift people is to pull them down due to
Mm-hmm.
how they were grown up and or how they were growing up in their experiences of where they lived with their family, friends, or whoever that is, and that's how they showed how they got connected with people. It can be a
Mm-hmm.
very dysfunctional way, but that is the way that they're shown. And to that point as well too, with the whole connections of that too. That's why you see a lot of folks not only on social media, but even in real life now, just rebelling against certain perspectives and ideas from people that brings people harm is another side of human connection that you know is not conducive or helpful. So
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by that, as in right now, y'all see the whole setup right now of the vax and the vax nots. It's a whole
Mm-hmm.
setup on human connection. It is pulling at those human connection strings right now. It's like, yo, you either on
Mm-hmm.
this side or you on this side. And the
There's no
thing is,
nuance. There's no place for the people who are in the middle, who are in the middle ground.
yes.
Because even people like me, who I would not mind getting a polio shot or a measles shot. Like I have no problem with any other like vaccine, But I just have suspicions about this particular one.
Yes, and they're pulling
Yeah,
on that human connection part of us that
yeah,
wants to feel happy and fulfilled. Because if everybody's not feeling the same way that we do, there's a
hmm
problem. So that's for me.
hmm
That's another thing. At least on the, we'll see. We're doing the pros and cons thing. So
yeah.
a con for
And
me on
even
this
that
side.
whole, I don't know if you've been watching, speaking of current events as well, I
Yeah.
don't know if you watched the whole, like, the way they're playing games around ivermectin,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I just talked about
the the
ivermectin
the, the
earlier.
horse dewormer,
Yeah.
and they're making fun of people who overdose on horse dewormer because they
Mm,
couldn't get a doctor's prescription. But it turns out what happened was ivermectin is prescribed by doctors to humans as well, usually for parasite infections,
yeah.
and on a nanodose or microdose level, even for certain viruses. And ongoing research is being done to possibly treat them for COVID as well. In
Yeah.
fact, there are a few doctors who are already giving it as a treatment for COVID to some patients.
Yes.
But all of that, I didn't even realize until like somebody sent me like actual like medical journals, like peer-reviewed medical journals with these doctors saying uh, that because the medicine's already easily available, especially for like third world, or I don't even like the term third world, but like
Yeah. But other countries, yeah.
global south countries, poorer
Yeah.
countries,
Yeah.
uh, because it's already cheap. Like, and the crazy thing is we don't even need that much. It turns out we just need like a nano dose, and we just have to figure out a nano delivery
Yeah.
because it's still not proven in vivo. So it's still like
Yeah. In vitro.
that's why it's in
Mm-hmm.
vitro, in vivo, one of the terms. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it still has to be done on a nano dose with nano delivery. But the people who've been dying on overdosing, they've been getting it from vats
Yeah.
for the horses, and they're taking too much. That's why they're dying.
Yeah.
And And so the thing is, we don't even need that much. We just need a nano dose of it. But like the way they manipulate the story, right, and being like making fun of these people and saying
Hmm.
the sheep, they ironically calling other people sheep,
She,
but they're taking horse medicine, right? That's the story that they're going with. And
yes,
I even bought it for a bit until somebody started sending me the medical journals, and she was like, "Wait, look, this is being used for COVID already." So they that's another level of manipulation they're around because they want people to rely only on the vaccine.
yes. Again,
Yeah,
my way or the highway. My way is
yeah,
the best way. Yours is not, and that's where I find
yeah.
with human connection is that entitlement is also
Mm-hmm,
on that con side. Is when
mm-hmm,
you're entitled to opinion and perspective, and it's like that's only me, and if you're not with me or you're against me, that begins to create this whole disconnection. But you are playing on the heartstrings of people wanting to connect and be involved with people again.
mm-hmm,
So that's another con side on that is pulling on the heartstrings of that, using the manipulation to be able to play people against each other because you know how people thrive off of being connected to other folks. And if my family
mm-hmm,
members don't agree with the stuff that I do, and the people down my street don't feel like they don't agree on what I talk about, you start to feel alone. And you
mm-hmm,
start to feel like there's no place another anything that you can end up doing to feel like you're connected. That's why we have these terms: the sheep, the wolves, the black sheep. When you feel you the black sheep that's out of the herd and that's not understood by anybody because of the fact that it's just you've been ousted because of the fact that you don't fit in and all of these different things of that nature. It's just all a playing off of, again, look at the con side of human connection when it comes to that.
mm-hmm,
I think another con when it comes to human connection is basically the way I would say the way that we end up connecting with people if we haven't really been taught is just the behavior of how you connect with people. Some folks think that I'll say that because it's different culturally. I only think, and I may be wrong, y'all. Please, y'all correct me. I like to also know when if I'm getting it right or wrong. But within certain cultures, Asian cultures, is disrespectful to stare somebody straight in their eyes.
mm-hmm,
And there's a certain way that you go about greeting and talking to someone versus a lot of the slang, ebonics and stuff that can be used more so in the West and where we at now. And
mm-hmm,
I feel because of the fact that we're not hip or we're not taught a lot of these differences, that just because based off how we talk to people around us initially is the same way we get to talk to everybody else that's around us. And that's not necessarily the case.
mm-hmm. Yeah, but even that, like I wonder post-colonial versus pre-colonial, and I wonder
Mm,
about if that is part of the politeness structures that I talked about earlier.
yes.
I don't know if that rule about looking, uh, being rude or disrespectful to look into somebody's eyes,
Yeah.
if that is a post-colonial invention that is part of the politeness structures. Because if you look into
Mm,
somebody's eyes, you're more likely to tell if they're lying, right? So, because the eyes are the windows to the soul.
so, yep. You read in
And,
my mind. I didn't want to say it.
right.
I was like, I feel like it's going to
So,
come out.
so there is a benefit to the powers that be, people who have more systemic power, making up this rule saying, hey, don't look into my eyes because
Hmm.
I don't want you to know that I'm lying to you.
Keep your head down.
Yeah, keep your head down. Exactly. Yeah.
I feel that. I'm
Speaking of
again.
keeping your head down, that's another level to it. It's also being submissive, right? So that's
Mm,
since you mentioned that, yeah.
mm. Yo, yo, yo! Look at that! Look at that! Uh, I'm gonna say this is another con when it comes to human connection is the the idea that all you need is social media to
Mm,
stay fully connected to someone. I feel like that's
mm,
still a con on the side too.
mm,
Because when we think of human connection, again, it is not only have to be either distant, but also close in proximity. So that means going and sitting and talking with somebody in person is a whole
mm,
different experience versus talking over social media in the phone. You get to see
mm,
different behaviors. You get to pick up on other certain, ideas and perspectives that you don't necessarily want to broadcast to the whole world. But you want to be able to do that in person. You get to see different mannerisms, whole good different stuff. I'm not saying we over here looking like we some straight up like body language experts and stuff over here, but you can tell. And I'll say this, and a lot of students would, either your student, college, wherever, a lot of students would agree that they not only learn more, but they also feel more connected and more willing to go to school in person versus online,
mm.
doing it virtually. Yes, we have our, now I actually like virtual more than in person, and I know because of what's going on, yes, people went back, but it even shows you the importance of being in person for certain things because you miss out on those key things and key parts of human connection, because ultimately, y'all, that's the natural way of how we get to know each other. It's not all of this was all created later on down the line because we've advanced and we talked all our ideas and perspectives and we put it out, and boom, we've created something that, yo, even though I can end up being somewhere all the way in Iceland, I can still connect with somebody that's in Georgia.
Yeah, and that's the advantage, right? You can the global village. It's become yeah, it's become like a global village where I can talk to somebody living all the way in India. Like I now have a lot of people that I know from India, and we talk on Instagram Live and
Yeah.
stuff. Sometimes on Zoom, and it's pretty amazing in that sense to like get to know like new people and learn new things as well and new perspectives that I would never have if I didn't have that technology.
Yes. So I mean, what I'm saying with this point too, because I did it on both sides. The main point is that it should not be the only source of way of you connecting with
Mhm.
people. It should not be
Exactly.
just the end all be all. But the way how everything is
Yeah,
being
if you know people
programmed.
locally, you should try to connect in person as much as you can. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Um, Another, and I'll end it here with at least the cons. And if you have any, please you can. Another
Mm-hmm.
con I would say to human connection is the whole idea, and we speak about it a lot. It's echo chambers.
Mm-hmm.
And if y'all don't know what echo chambers are, it's basically getting in a group of people that all believe the same thing and y'all continue to validate each other over and over again, even
This
though there
group
might
thing,
be
yeah.
something groupthink, which something outside of that could end up, combating or, contesting or even making you think deeper about your perspective or
Yeah,
thought that you
the
have.
peer pressure and even just being like a herd or speaking of sheep, like sheep, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, but there's like pros and cons even to that because I like to use a different term sometimes,
Yeah.
the resonant chamber, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we need, especially people who are marginalized, oppressed, we need our own spaces to build each other up.
Oh
That's why
yeah.
women have their own women's circles, men have their own men's groups, for example, even on that level.
Yes.
And then black people have their own groups, their own like where only black people meet. Like similarly,
Yes.
Indian people have their own like group of people. Uh, their own meetings. And it doesn't mean they're racist, doesn't mean they're xenophobic. It just means they are trying to build those strong connections to build each other up
Yes.
as a safe space, because when we're out in the world, we are individuals and we are way too influenced by other cultures, other perspectives, and our own, like who we actually are as a group member, gets diluted by the world.
Yes.
So we need that resonant chamber and to connect deeper to our own culture, to our own gender, like whatever it
Yes.
is, with the whatever aspect of ourselves that we want to reconnect deeper to, then we build that
Mm,
resonant chamber for that specific purpose. Or even just building a skill, like writers and poets coming together to write poetry and building, giving feedback to each other and helping each other edit our poems and building each other up that way. So it can even be that specific, right?
yeah.
However, yeah, so that's like the pro, but it can become a con when that's all we're doing and we don't try to meet other people. Like,
Exactly. So I mean,
yeah.
that's why I was speaking to. I mean, that's why you reframe it like you did. You
Mm,
reframed it with a different name. Because if we stick with
yeah.
just the echo chambers, you can continue talking about something. That's why we have the whole thing of extremists and people being
Hmm.
on one whole side is because they talk this rhetoric over and over and over and over and over and over again that it's got programmed to the point like this is the only
Hmm.
way. This is the life that we live in, and anybody else who don't live the same life is completely wrong. That's where I say the whole just idea of an echo chamber that it doesn't help for you to think further beyond on that. So
Hmm.
that's why I'm saying that's a con to the human connection. Because again, it's all about in the group and connecting with groups of people and how
Hmm.
that helps us to feel happy and fulfilled. Again,
Yeah.
now some
And related to that, there are also cults, right? Where
yes,
some of those echo chambers end up becoming cults.
yes, yes. All right, now do a few pros and then um, a last little closing thought on human connection, and we be out. But we already talked about a few pros. But another pro I want to add to when it comes to human connection is innovation.
Hmm.
Because of some so much diverse, perspectives and other people's thoughts that we are able to innovate and come up with these things. Like folks in China come up with different ways to create, powerless batteries, and folks in the U.S. end up coming with way of making
Hmm.
sustainable, vehicles and other stuff. You pair those together, and now we have a vehicle that we can end up having that's good for the environment, while at the same time it's helpful for folks that may not have enough money to be able to have it and just be able to share that type of new technology along to people. But innovation is, I definitely say, is a pro when it comes to connection. Because when we innovate, again, the whole idea, these sayings or these adages within at least the English language is, two heads are better than one. So multiple people thinking on a project and working together is better than just one person doing it by itself, because you can get so much more.
Hmm. Yeah. Related to that would be reflection and learning, right? And self-exploration, all of that that we learn from each other.
Openness.
Hmm.
Um, I feel along with that whole creativity. He said it's an exchange of ideas, very different suffers when we find ourselves in those quote unquote echo chambers. Yes, yes. That's why I say that's the pairing between what we were just doing right now. Is because what Kundan ended up saying earlier, and Kundan reframed it, which shout out to Chris, the alien space queen in the building. Peace and love to you.
Hey,
Is
Chris.
instead of an echo chamber, we call it a resonance chamber. So basically, people that come together and they resonate on stuff to help uplift. But in
Hmm.
that same thing, in that chamber, doesn't necessarily mean okay, we're only going to be looking at what we're doing, but we're really more so coming here to build a community. So it creates a structure versus when you're in an echo chamber, the structure just may be you believe this, I believe this, and that's the only thing we need to believe. It's not no thinking outside of, there's no thinking further with or any of that when it comes to the whole idea of the echo chamber. So yes, I agree with you, Betty. I agree with you. I think another pro to human connection would end up being since we've already talked about innovation that hasn't to do with knowledge, I want to talk about one that ends up having to do with the true person, the true um I want to something that still has to do with community, but like I wanted to reframe it in another sense. The reason why I wanted to say that is because we can talk about community, but in a sense of I think everybody's knowledge of knowing their roles. I feel of that and being and people really being willing to play those roles. So we get to
It's
put aside the individualism,
teamwork, right? Teams.
teamwork. Thank you.
Mm.
Yes, teamwork in that sense of that. Okay, I got my part to play right here. Kundan has the part to play right here. Chris has her part. And when we come together, we create something so much better. Again, greater than self.
Hey guys,
What's going on,
Hey,
Chris?
Chrissy.
What's the
nothing
word?
much. I'm late. I know it's the after show, but my schedule got
Not yet.
flipped
Not yet.
Not
around.
yet.
Not
Oh,
yet.
it's still
Show the
going?
show.
We're about
Yeah.
we're just about wrapping up. We're like on the last points right now, and then we're gonna wrap up. So if you want to stay,
Dang,
you
y'all were
can.
talking.
No,
Y'all
I had
were.
to move it. I had to move it back 30 minutes because I
Oh,
had something happen, so I moved it back 30 minutes. So this is still
Oh,
like our regular time, but yes, we went over a little bit, but it's still all good because now these
yeah.
shows are becoming longer. But if you
Yeah.
want to stay, you're more than welcome to. But yes, there's still gonna be an after show, y'all.
Okay, I'm gonna let y'all keep talking because I'm driving. I'm pulling to Dallas right now. Shout out to Dallas.
There it
So
is. All right.
I'll pop in for the after show.
All right, for sure.
okay.
But good to see you though.
Hmm.
See, look at things and stuff like that as well too. I feel that also adds to it. Not only with the teamwork, but just um, I feel like not feel like grace.
Mm.
Another thing of grace, and we could talk about all the different, ethics, humility, and all these other different things that can add to creating more human connection. Peace, 2 times in the building. Good to see you up in here. Appreciate you. But
Yeah, like grace, generosity, compassion, kindness, all of these things.
and
Hmm.
how that all adds to
Support, mutual support.
port. Yes,
Hmm.
like you do, like all of y'all come and do when y'all can. Y'all come and support the stream and come support the live. I appreciate y'all so much because, like I said, for me, time is important and it's the most valuable. So when y'all come and give time, I'm grateful and I want to let y'all know I appreciate it so much. Y'all could be doing so many other things, but you're here with both of us. So appreciate y'all again. Um, Now, lastly, putting this all together. Now, knowing that we can have our pros and cons when it comes to human connection. The last question I want to ask, and this is to everybody that can throw it down too, is how do we use human connection to positively impact those around us to something to grow further? I know I've said a question like this before, but I just want to say, how can we use human connection to impact growth towards being better?
Yeah, building community and building those resonance chambers that I was talking about for specific things, whether it be reconnecting to culture, whether it be building a specific skill like writing or drawing or painting or whatever. Uh, yeah, or it could even be building a company or a business. That can be a business can be a resonance chamber as well. like an entrepreneurial endeavor, that can also be a resonance chamber. So yeah.
How can, on top of that, say for an
Mhm.
example, say that you create something that is only specific to a particular group of people as well as a particular gender. How
Mhm.
can we support while at the same time avoid being picky and judgmental about doing spaces like that?
You mean as far as choosing the members, or?
As in, if you're building something, so say like, yeah, you create a
Mhm.
business or you create a group that's only specifically targeted towards women. And what if that
Mhm.
could also be beneficial for men? What if men start to get and feel a certain way of why we can't be a part of that group?
Yeah, that's the reason why we have boundaries and gatekeeping. Uh, it's powerful to have uh, that strong boundary and be like, no, we cannot have uh, that because it's with this specific group of people.
So how do we help to at least promote those differences versus picking out the differences and getting mad?
We can't help other people getting mad.
Um,
With ourselves, we just have to have our own. It's not about getting mad, but it's just about having our own standards. It's fine because
yeah,
let's say we want to create a group of women and or a group of men, we can still have standards even within that. We can be like we only want a particular type of men, for example, right?
yes,
And and it's just like any other group or community has standards and boundaries. Like even Instagram has community guidelines, right?
mm-hmm,
And if you
mm-hmm,
violate them, you get several warnings and eventually you get your account deactivated, right?
yeah,
Now you may
smooth,
not, but you may not agree with their guidelines, but at the end of the day, we're on their private property, right? So we gotta, uh, that's where free speech has its limits, right? We gotta uh, go follow their guidelines.
yes,
And so same thing with the resident chambers, we
mm-hmm,
other people may not agree, but like too bad. Like that's it's like, tough titties.
there it is.
Yeah.
um my whole thing, adding to your
Hmm.
point, is basically being able to, we always talk about educating, but like literally someone doesn't know, like really letting them know straight up, okay, this is what's the whole setup and what it's about, so they know the structure, so then they know that this is not necessary to be like, oh yeah, we're targeting or kicking you out because of the fact that you don't fit here. This is because we've made this specific group in business for men or for women because of the fact that this is how that structure is going to be set up. There's somewhere you can create one as well too. Even if you want to create something that's very similar, we might provide with some ideas and perspectives of how we've built it. But then at the same time, is literally learning how to build what we call this tolerance. But I don't even like really using the word tolerance. But it's really learning how to respect folks, like the
Hmm.
true idea of really respecting folks, not just like, oh yeah, the benefit of the doubt. It's like, no, like, okay, your reason for doing something may not agree with my reason, but I can respect your reason for what you do, and trying to meet people there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like Betty is saying, simply saying confirming words and encourage folks in their endeavors and supporting them. Yes, that whole, again, with the whole support, knowing that, yeah, we have this particular group for only men, but we can support you in being able to build a program that is specifically for women or for kids or for particularly people of color or this
Yeah.
group of people. And the thing is, getting
Like
people
even open
involved.
mics, right? Like even
Yes.
open mics have their rules and boundaries. Some open mics are open to all artists. Some open mics
Yeah.
are only open to poets and spoken word artists. And some open mics, like their Thursday night ones with the Deja Vu, they they're even more limited. Like you cannot sing on that one, and they don't even allow rap, right? So
Mm.
and they will stop you so if you start rapping like in the middle and try to break their boundary. And it's just about respecting each other's boundaries and being not taking it personally or giving it a negative meaning. That goes back to even the reverse victimhood, right? Like
Yeah,
you're not a victim for somebody stating their boundaries to you.
there it is.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna read these last comments, and then Kundan, you can give your last, points to wrap up, and then I'll do my wrap up, y'all, and we will be done with another episode. But let's see. We grown up and recognize we're all different. So how do we learn women are from Venus and men are from Mars? Again, I think it still goes back to that awareness piece and just knowing that respect, because, or just honestly, the ignorance, and not ignorance in the sense of, oh, we don't know. If y'all think of the word ignorance, you see the word ignoring it. We know what's going on, but we just choose to just be difficult and say, nah, we don't want to end up dealing with that because honestly, it has nothing to do with me. But yeah, we can be grown up, but do people really want to end up being grown up? That's, again, going to Betty's point. That's right down here. It says it begins with you, the individual, and your integrity, your discipline / respect. Again, that's where it is. You
Hmm.
can't go to Pizza Hut and get Burger King. Grow up. I love it. Yes. And
Exactly. Yeah.
shouts out to the brother, Chairman Dallas in the building, and everyone else that came through. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all for the love coming in and coming through. Now, Kundan, your final thoughts. Wrap up. What you got?
Mm, yeah, I think that's about it. I think human connection is important as long as we are committed to justice and equity and, you know, love and compassion and kindness, all of these good qualities in conjunction with each other. Like, uh, we cannot emphasize one over the other. Like, we cannot be like, oh, I only want to be loving.
Yeah.
Sometimes what is justice may not look loving. You know, that's
Mm,
that's the point I was making with my story about, the person who wrote, you know, um, all you need is love, and
love.
the person who wrote, love is not enough. Because I think I agree with the person who wrote love is not enough. It isn't enough if you're not committed to like justice and things like that. You know.
Agreed. Not just to create an echo chamber, but yes, I echo. I use the word echo, but yes, yes. Um,
Mhm.
but with that, y'all, I appreciate y'all's time. Appreciate y'all being here. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, and then we'll do all the last bits. And there is an after show. But again, I appreciate everyone's time and y'all being here.
Mhm.
But to wrap up for today's show, when it comes to current events, it's important that you take time to get informed and to know what's going on around you, whether if it has an impact on you as a person or individual or even as a group in a community. Because again, this whole connection of the human connection, it takes what? A village to raise a child. So please be informed on what you do and make sure that your decisions are informed decisions and just not, I'm going to just do it because, with no reason.
Mhm.
Second, when it comes to the whole idea of distance versus close, again, it varies. It is all relative. You can have a distant goal, which we call a long-term goal, or you can have a close goal, which we could say short-term goal. But ultimately, it's your intention behind it, as well as with relationships. It's the intention that you put behind it and the reasoning of why you engage with someone or you disengage from someone, whether you like what you've learned from them or you don't. Again, use that to understand and understand how you show and connect to other people. versus with close and distant. Lastly, why human connection is a double-edged sword. Again, I'll say the word, it's all comes down to balance and how you go about doing this. It starts from within. You learn it, you show it, and it comes out and it grows and becomes a part of the community. Once you're able to better yourself, you can be able to show and people can see that you're bettering yourself, then it ultimately ends up bettering the whole community. So whether you're on one side about an echo chamber, a resonance chamber, you hate, you love, you manipulate, but then you persuade, you uplift, all of that comes into this whole idea of human connection. But just know that, yes, we do need other people to thrive. And it's okay if you don't have a lot of people. Find people you can connect to so that you can ultimately help to not only fulfill your goals and things that you want in life, but be able to connect to something that is greater than yourself. But with that, y'all, I've been your brother
Peace and
A.D.V.I.S.
love.
This has been Kundan. This has been another episode of What's the Word Wednesdays. And shout out to all of y'all that's in here. All of y'all, appreciate y'all, love y'all. Shout out to those gonna be watching this later, whether on Instagram or YouTube. If it's on YouTube, like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for your boy. Subscribe to A.D.V.I.S. Speaks, because we are putting more content and videos out like this and other things. So, much love to y'all. We'll catch y'all next Wednesday with another topics, and another episode. So stay tuned in. Peace and one love, and we're out.